I love the movie.
It's a great movie. Didn't make my list of top 10.
What?
I don't have it. I don't have it on my list of top 10.
It's one of the greatest sports movies of all time, especially.
Welcome back to Sports Talk with Dad. As always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man who watched the Big Bang happen live, my dad, Tim.
Was not there, but I can't wait for the James Webb Observatory to be up and running so we can see way back in time.
Do you know how deep underground that thing actually is, where they're testing the Big Bang?
No.
It's miles down. I didn't realize. I watched something on a YouTube short, and I didn't realize how far down it was.
They're going to end up blowing up the Earth.
Yeah. Oh, let's test the Big Bang, the thing that created the universe, that sucked up everything around it, and let's recreate it. That makes it's the line in science of we can.
But should we?
But should we be doing this?
And the answer is no.
Let's focus on getting Mars and getting cryptocurrency back up so my wife's not mad at me for losing money.
Okay, that's 2 episodes in a row that we've talked about the money you've lost.
Listen, my wife is here so I'm not broke in my old age. I don't always make good money decisions.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true.
But I do have to say, I appreciate you not actually drinking Diet Coke during my intro this time as you take a sip.
Okay. I don't drink a lot of alcohol, as I said. I don't smoke. It's my only crack. And I hope they'll watch and sponsor us.
It'd be nice if Coke would be a sponsor. And considering how much you drink a Diet Coke, it'd probably save you, what, $100,000 a year?
Maybe.
It's up there.
I look for sales, and yes, between that and my coffee,
yeah,
it's pretty much it.
I'm a caffeine fan. I get it. You just drink a lot of it.
I do. And I used to drink, and this is scary to even think back. I used to drink at least a 12-pack of regular Coke a day.
I remember.
It was awful.
You're a big boy.
Yeah. Let's not remember. Those pictures are gone forever.
I have one.
We'll burn it after the show.
Mom found it. I told her to hide it.
Keep it well hidden. I never want it to come out.
I said, this is your leverage at some point. Don't ever lose this.
Yeah, and she will too. It will be used up. Hey, did you know I discovered a national treasure here in Milwaukee?
You told me about this. I am actually really excited that you met this guy, and I hope that I get to meet him in the near future as well.
I want to have him on the show. So at Mayfair Mall in Milwaukee, it's not too far from where we live.
Right.
I was going through, and I got to the top of an escalator, and here is all this Negro League stuff. And, I'm passionate about the Negro Leagues.
Yeah.
It's a part of baseball that the story has not been told enough. And I go up there and I was looking, and I got you a Kansas City Monarch hat. And there was this older gentleman sitting at the table, and I start talking to him. I find out that at one point he was the youngest player in the Negro Leagues. His name is Dennis Bose Biddle. Played for the Chicago American Giants. The man is a national treasure. He should be on ESPN, and we should be doing shows about this with this guy, because there can't be that many Negro League players left around. He was incredibly interesting to talk to. I got his baseball card as well. And it just, I could have went nuts. They had so many Negro League jerseys there.
That's awesome.
He wrote a book, which I know you looked up.
Yep.
Secrets of...
I did. It's called The Secrets of the Negro Leagues as Told by Dennis Biddle. It's going to be here on Friday. I am a big baseball history buff. You taught me a lot about the Negro Leagues and past of baseball, as anybody listening will be able to tell. I took a college course specifically on baseball where we focused a lot on the Negro Leagues and the players that were involved there. And I can't wait to read this book because I'm sure there's stuff in here that I don't know about. And like I said, it gets here on Friday. My weekend plans are made. I'm going to finish this book.
I had two heroes growing up as three heroes growing up baseball. Henry Aaron was my favorite player,
Yep.
but also because I was a catcher, I had two favorite catchers, Johnny Bench and Josh Gibson.
Yeah.
And Josh Gibson, I would have loved to have seen what he would have done in the major leagues. The man still holds the record old Yankee Stadium isn't there anymore, but he is the only man to have ever hit a ball out of Yankee Stadium over left field.
It would have been amazing to see him in the majors against some of the other pitchers that were out there. I mean, let's be honest, the talent he was facing was not bad talent. I mean, he was definitely facing guys just as good, if not better, than some of the guys they had in the majors and still performing at those levels. I mean, the rumor is he may have hit 800 home runs.
He may have. He may have been the all-time home run leader. And we can't forget those players, the Satchel Pages, the Buck O'Neills, the Bose Biddles, all of these guys need to be talked about and need to be remembered. So I'm hoping we can get him on the show.
I'm hoping so too. Well, especially the sad part is Ty Cobb's been written about as this jerk racist guy, villain. Right?
Yeah.
And it turns out Ty Cobb was actually calling for integration of baseball in the 20s and especially during World War II. And Judge Landis, who was the commissioner at that time, turns out he was one of the biggest racists to ever walk this planet and wouldn't allow integration to happen. For those of you who don't know, Judge Landis took over as commissioner after the 1919 Black Sox scandal to try and save the league because that was a black mark. And he did. He brought in the live ball era, but really helped out on that side of things. But especially during World War II, Ty Cobb sitting there saying, "What are you doing? We literally have a one-armed player in the outfield," and that actually happened, by the way. A one-armed player played in the outfield during World War II. You had a guy that was 3 feet 7 inches that joined into a game, and Judge Landis just refused to allow integration to happen.
Look, if Ty Cobb would have had his way, integration would have taken place in the 19-teens.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have even been a question.
Correct.
And it should have been. Ty Cobb made a writer mad. So all the movie that was based on was based on this guy's book, and he did it after Ty Cobb had passed away. Right. So for me, the guy was a coward.
I agree. Well, and it was Ty Cobb probably a jerk. Yeah, I mean, he sharpened his spikes and people didn't like him in the game. But I think it's unfair when he was calling for integration at that time for him to be painted the way that he was. But I am, again, excited to read Dennis Biddle's book. I can't wait to hear about it. And again, if anybody else knows him out there, have him give us a call, have us email. The link to our email is in the description of our channel. I'd love to have him on the show to discuss his book and go into detail on his stories. I
would love to hear his stories. As I said, he's a national treasure. And if you're in Milwaukee, go to Mayfair Mall. He's on the top level, right over by Barnes and Nobles, and go and spend time and talk with him. The stories he has should never be forgotten, and they should be told. So
no, I agree. He needs to get more coverage. I mean, this guy. Like I said, I can't wait to read the book. I suggest you guys go buy the book as well. I'm going to talk about it next week after I finish it. Before we move on to our next subject, I do have a trivia question for you, and it's one of my all-time favorite about Ty Cobb.
Okay.
Ty Cobb, in the history of baseball, is one of the richest players to ever play the game. He didn't make his money playing baseball. Where did his money come from?
He was one of the very early investors into Coca-Cola.
A small Georgian cola company approached him and said, "We'd like you to invest," because Ty Cobb was from Georgia, and that company was Coca-Cola. And he had no next of kin, and all that stock went back to Coke.
Right. And Ty Cobb, just to finish up on Ty Cobb in this part of the discussion, he donated millions to charity.
He did.
He speaking of the Negro Leagues, he appeared at a lot of Negro League fields.
He did.
So it's the real story of Ty Cobb needs to come out.
It does.
As does the real story of the Negro Leagues and what it was like to play during those times and play against players that were every bit as good as the major leaguers that were out there.
I agree, and that's where Dennis Biddle's book really comes into play. So again, the secrets of the Negro Leagues as told by Dennis Biddle. It's on Amazon right now. That's where I got it from. You can order it, read the book.
Or you can go down to Mayfair Mall and buy the book from Mr. Biddle. He'll autograph it for you, and he'll give you a chance to meet him.
Even better. I'm going to move on to one of our comments we had. Did you see the comment we had on the Mayhem and Madison video?
From the Jack Bistro?
Yes.
He wasn't happy with some of the things we had to say, but it was a great comment.
It was a great comment. I mean, and a lot of his points were valid, and Jack read the whole thing. I thought you made a lot of great points. However, Greg Gard started that fight. Juwan Howard, is he a bully from the NBA, a goon as you called him? Yeah, he's an NBA player, and that's what NBA players did. However, you don't kick a man when he's down. You just won. What more do you have to give? I don't understand, even in your comment, Jack, how Greg Gard wins. He's won in the public perception, and I don't understand how.
Look, he was fined $10,000. 2 assistant coaches were also suspended for a game. I think Gard should have been suspended for a game.
How is he not suspended?
Well, I don't believe the university paid his fine and it's defending him. Greg Gard was part of that just ridiculous incident. He should have just kept on walking. As Jack said, when the man said, "Don't touch me," believe him.
Right.
And don't touch him. But he's got to take responsibility. Both of those guys are leaders of men and should have acted that way, and neither one did. So both of them, I think, need to take some responsibility. Howard is suspended for the rest of the regular season. I fully support that.
100% should be.
I think Gard should have been suspended for a game as well. And I know, I'm a huge Badger fan, and all the Badger fans have been piling on to me because they don't agree. I'm just not that big of a homer.
It's just crazy to me when the people defending Greg Gard are the same people that are teaching their kids and their grandkids and whoever else is in their lives to be the bigger person.
Right.
But yet we're defending a guy who refused to be the bigger person. So, I mean, if you're somebody out there that goes, listen, if somebody gets in your face, you get back in their face, then you have every right to defend Gard, like 100%. But if you have ever in your life said, be the bigger person and just walk away, what are you doing defending Greg Gard? Because he wasn't the bigger person. He didn't walk away. He got back into Howard's face and escalated a situation.
Well, and along that line, please go to the YouTube page, see Jack's comment, add your own comments on there, and let us know what you think about that.
I 100% agree. And the Jack Bistro, thank you so much for listening in and commenting. We really appreciate it. And great comment. I mean, you had a lot of good points. Did you hear the Rogers update on the Pat McAfee show?
Yeah, he's taking a lot of enemas.
He's on a cleanse. It doesn't mean he's taking a lot of enemas.
It's something I don't want to hear about. I don't want to know how much time he's spending in the bathroom.
When was that ever said? That was.
Well, what do you think a cleanse is?
I've done a cleanse. It doesn't mean I was putting enemas inside of me and clearing out my body.
You're taking stuff to clear out your body, and I'm done with this part of the conversation. The bottom line is Rogers didn't make any announcements, nor did he ever promise to make any announcements on the show.
I have find it funny the people that are getting upset that were like, we were told he was going to make an announcement. That was never once said. McAfee never even said Rogers was going to be the person on the show. It just blew up, and it happened to be Aaron Rodgers, and I wish he would have made an announcement. Rogers, if you're listening, I don't care you didn't make an announcement. Just come back to Green Bay. We want to see you here. I want to keep you as a Green Bay Packer. And I fully, there's my mess up on the show so far. I fully support the cleanse. Like I said, I did one. Well, and it was very helpful.
For those who don't know, you had a serious health issue a year ago. You were 240 pounds.
I was. Yeah, this time last year I was 240 pounds, heavy drinker, not doing well.
No.
2 months from now in June, was that 2 months, 3 months, however far it is? I don't know. We're in February. I don't even know. But it's going to be my anniversary of finding out that I was pretty sick for a little bit there.
You were told that you were on a path to not be there for not only your kid's high school graduation. If you didn't do something and do something right now, we may not be sitting here having these conversations. So
yeah, I don't know if it's that severe, but a doctor definitely did tell me if you want to see your kids graduate high school, you need to take care of your body and get healthier. And I tell you what, if anybody ever tells you that, it is a wake-up call. I quit drinking. I'm down to 185. I'm up to 195 now after I broke my foot. So I wasn't able to exercise, but at the gym 4 to 5 times a day.
a week.
A week, yeah, not 4 or 5 times a day. That's 2 screw ups. I gotta get better at this. We gotta cut these down. My brain does not work as fast as my mouth. It is my problem throughout life.
Anybody who's known you knows that.
The mouth keeps going. But I have to tell you, there is one product that I've absolutely fallen in love with throughout this process. And if you guys don't have one, it is completely worth the investment. I got one of the. I'm gonna butcher this name, but it's a Taiaeus. I found it on Amazon.
I know. I stole it from about a month.
Yeah, I lost it. I couldn't find where it was after I was getting back into working out after breaking my foot, and I find out it's sitting next to your bed. But there's a bunch of different settings on here. I use this before and after I work out. It definitely stimulates my muscle. Not a sponsor, by the way, unless they want to be and they're listening, feel free to. But not a sponsor by any means. This has just helped me out a lot. You know, I'm in my 30s now. And as I learned, I don't work out like I used to in my 20s. It hurts a lot more.
Yeah, it does. Well, and I told you, I mean, I got hit by a drunk driver and had to have back surgery, number 4 back surgery. So I can't do a lot of what I used to do. Right. But that thing really helped loosen up the muscles that they went into.
It does.
It's a great product. I like it.
It definitely stimulates before stretching and before hitting the gym, helped me put on a lot more muscle, and definitely helped me be a lot less sore.
I don't want to see you on the golf course this year because it's bad enough you're out driving me before. I can barely play now, but
I'm excited now that I've lost the weight, now that I got some new strength for the core and the back and the arms and the chest. I am excited to see how far I can hit this ball. Golf season's coming, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, it'll be 300 yards down and 300 yards to the right.
That's how I always hit it, but as long as I aim it right, it's still going to end up in the fairway.
We'll see. You know what? Next month, the Milwaukee Golf Show is here. I can't wait to go.
Yes, we're definitely going. We're going to try and do some filming while we're there as well to show you guys what the golf show looks like. Hopefully we come back with some cool clubs. I don't know if I can give up my driver, though. I hit it so well. I've tried to mess with other drivers. I use the Callaway Edge driver, and I'm a big fan. I hit that thing a ton.
Driver.
And it's great. I don't need to change it.
Yeah, why would you bother? I've had the same driver for a long time as well. I've got the same clubs. I love my Wilson irons, but you know, I just want to get back out on the golf course and start.
I do too.
Playing again. So
I can't wait. We had teasing weather where it was 50 degrees, and then last night everything froze.
We had an ice storm.
Now we can ice skate on my driveway, which is fun. But speaking of golf, what's going on with Phil Mickelson? What is he doing?
He's losing sponsors. He lost KPMG, who was his sponsor for like 14 years because he was an idiot. You know, making comments about Saudi Arabia.
I'm game on competing leagues. Like, I think that's great, right? That's capitalism at its finest. But to compliment, number one, a different league when the PGA Golf Tour has done nothing but support him throughout his career and given him everything that he has.
Made him a multi. I could keep going, millionaire.
Correct.
And that's
you're
what
bashing it. And this is the one comment I did post it on the show here because I want to go over this, and I don't understand this. Saudi money has finally given us players that leverage to be able to change things about the PGA. One, what do you want to change about the PDA? And two, you're literally talking about a country that is known to oppress their women and have laws that don't support the freedom that we enjoy here in America. I mean, this guy's an American-born citizen, and I don't get into politics by any means.
Right. But
at the same time, it's not a good look.
It's not a good look, and it's not, you know, they make the women over there have to wear, and I apologize for not knowing the name of the garb, but there is a traditional garb where they're completely covered. It's just makes no sense, and I applaud the other tour players who are calling him out for these comments, going, PGA Tour has given us a great life. They've been there for us. We are independent contractors,
Right.
and they really are. Those guys aren't guaranteed a dime. They have to go and earn it every week. It's probably
They're
the
commissioned
hardest.
athletes.
Yes, it's probably the single hardest sport to play mentally because you're going out there not being guaranteed a dime when you first start.
Right, and Tiger made it so the top 100 guys can keep playing golf. Because before Tiger, if you weren't in the top 10, there's no way you can make a living off of that.
Not the living they're making now.
Right.
I mean, right now the top 100 is a multimillionaire.
Correct.
And Tiger was great for it, and Phil Mickelson really had become the hero to fans around America, especially winning the PGA last year.
Correct.
Oldest person to ever do it, and he just seems like he's spitting in the face of the people who were there for him.
It would be like if Brett Favre had, after he retired and was done with the game, refused to come back to Green Bay and continued to trash the Green Bay Packers after he was gone. Like, it's okay, this team gave you everything. And the same with the PGA Tour. This league's giving you everything you have.
And I was surprised because he made that comment, but he didn't say any specifics about what he wanted to see and what was wrong with the PGA Tour.
Like, that's a problem I have with anybody like that. Don't just come out there and say things need to change. That does nothing. Don't just complain about the things going on in the world. What do you want to see that's different?
What did I always tell you, and what did I always tell my sales reps when they were working for me? Don't bring me a problem without a solution.
Right.
You know, I'm not just taking your monkey. You've got to give me a potential solution. And he didn't even bring not to mention solution, he didn't even say what the problems were.
No, and has he ever approached the PGA saying, hey, here's the problems? Or did this Saudi tournament just throw a ton of money at Phil Mickelson and he figured, you know what, I'm for sale?
It's sad if that's the case, but that's certainly what it looks like. And as I said, I applaud the players who called him out.
Rory McIlroy went after him.
He did, and good for him.
And he's saying the same thing I'm saying. Like, what do you want?
Right.
Different. Like, what do you want to? You literally haven't brought this up ever. This isn't like an ongoing problem where you have an issue, and now you've supporting this new league. You know, that'd be a different situation altogether. It's you've never had any problems with this, and now all of a sudden,
well, I think
you got a problem.
All of a sudden, I think Phil is kind of living up to his reputation of not being the greatest guy. You know, he's
that
great
guy
man.
What's the villain from Tin Cup?
yeah.
Don't like kids or dogs.
Yeah, the Dustin John, or not the Dustin Johnson. The last name is Johnson. He was in Miami Vice, and I can't think of his name right now. But
I have
that
no
Bill.
idea who you're talking about. If you know who he's talking about, leave it.
Put in the comments because I can't remember. Don Johnson, who was the villain in Tin Cup, and yes, he's similar to that. But I don't know that Phil doesn't like dogs or old people. For all I know, he does. But there was more golf news that came out that you and I were talking about. Tiger Woods was asked about the golf ball. And Jack Nicklaus talked about the golf ball years and years ago, saying they should roll back the ball. I love Tiger's comments on that. He didn't necessarily agree with that. He said the simple answer to fix the length that people are hitting it just makes the ball spin more.
Right.
Makes perfect sense, especially with the pros. You know, if you make that ball have a lot more spin, it's going to be that much harder to control, and it's going to bring a lot of these older courses and even places like Augusta back into relevance because guys just aren't going to be able to hit it as far as they used to and are right now. So I'm a big supporter of Tiger's solution. I think they should do that. I mean, back in the day when they had a lot of balls, you know, the ones where they had the little rubber bands rolled up in it, those things were harder to control, and they just spun more. So this would be, I hope the tour finally does something about it, because I'd like to see some of those older courses come back in.
Yeah, and I've totally always known what balata balls were. In our show prep, you definitely didn't have to explain to me what they were.
Sorry, I just always assume you don't know what some of these things are, so I explain.
I 100% didn't. I definitely had to ask him what they were. I had no idea what he was talking about. That's why this makes a great partnership on the show.
Yes.
It is interesting, and it's the same problem we have with tennis. And I know you and I have said several times we're going to hold off our tennis comments because you and I have a lot of opinions when it comes to the technology in tennis. But at some point, and I think golf's getting there, you have to start rolling back some of this technology to make it harder and more challenging on the golfers.
Only for the professional ranks.
Only for the professionals. And if you want to be an amateur that goes out and hits with professional balls, and more on you. I'm not going to do it, but more on you.
Oh, yeah. Let's be behind those guys and have a 6-hour round. I mean, if you're an amateur, you shouldn't be using the balls that the pros use, as far as I'm concerned, anyways, especially if they roll it back, because it'll be ridiculous to see some people try to play with that.
The issue is it's going to change some of these new courses. The good news is it's going to make some of these older courses more relevant again, because with the higher spin of the ball's not going to go as far. The wind's going to catch it more. But these new courses were just built to be 500 plus yards par 4 for the pros. They're going to have to change their courses a little bit.
So you're not going to have that way far back tee box, and you're just going to use the more forward tees. I think it would be good for golf as a whole. It would, we've talked about it. The great thing about tennis used to be the fact that every once in a while I could hit a shot that you see on TV, and it was a strategy game, not just a power game. What's golf becoming? Just a power game.
Just another power game. The difference is you still have to putt.
Yes, you do.
I mean, the greens are getting absolutely insane. You do still have to putt the ball, but it's getting to be that time where golf needs to do something where you don't have guys hitting the ball 500 yards, because all of a sudden you don't have to putt.
Right.
You can now 3-putt for a birdie if you can hit the ball 550 yards.
And Jack, as I said, Jack Nicklaus was calling for it decades ago because he was the longest driver on tour before Tiger came along. And could he hit the ball 300 yards with a persimmon wood and a blotto ball? Yeah, he could. But he was that good.
2 terms again. I totally knew what they were before this show.
That's why I'm here to try and teach you these things.
That's fair. But speaking of Jack Nicklaus, I screw him up, and that's part of it. Is I would love to see Jack Nicholson play Jack Nicklaus in a movie.
I would not like to see that, because Jack Nicholson is 104 years old now.
Yeah, well, so was Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus looked like he was 70 when he was 40.
No, he did it. Well, no, he didn't. No, he was a good-looking guy when he was in his 40s.
Guy, it's a different time. I'm just saying, how awesome would it be to see Jack Nicholson play Jack Nicklaus in a movie?
Well, which brings us to our topic, which is the greatest sports movies that we picked them on our own independently, and I had a top 15 list.
Yes.
He made me
made him go down to 10. And by the way, make sure you comment below to mention how awesome that segue was, because he's been teasing me about my segue ability, and I've had to prove him wrong today. So I'm going to put one on the scoreboard for me.
His lack of segue ability.
Listen, that was awesome. That was pretty spot on.
But
comment below. Tell me I was right, because I'm proud of that one.
That was pretty good. And it's going to be, I want to see the comments, because we'll give our lists and we'll give our rationale for a lot of these movies we're going to talk about. But then I want to see other people's lists on there.
I do too. Definitely tell us what your top movies are. We left off a couple. There were some hard choices.
To get into 10, I mean, I had to leave off movies like Paper Lion, which for those, I had another one I had to tell you about.
No idea.
There was a movie from way back in the day. There was an author called George Plimpton, who actually tried out for the Detroit Lions. And it was just his story, and it was a great movie. There's another one that neither one of us put on the list because it was a TV movie and not a big screen movie, and that was Brian's Song.
I didn't even think about Brian's Song right now. Oh, that is a great movie.
It is a movie that guys are allowed to cry at.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm not talking about the remake. I'm talking about the original with James Caan and Billy D. Williams. It was a TV movie that was made very quickly after Brian Piccolo died.
Great
movie. But one of the greatest sports movies ever, but it was a TV movie.
And what makes that movie so accurate too is that they actually had Brian Piccolo's wife on the set,
right,
helping with the movie to make sure they got it right. And it nails the story. I didn't even think about that one.
Well, I thought about it, but again, because it was a TV movie, I didn't include it. But it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and it defines how I pick my list. Right. It was, what movies will I stop whatever I'm doing? If I'm flipping through the channel, I'm watching the rest of it.
And please know that was our stipulation in this choice here that we made. It was, what movie, if it's on and you flip through the channels, will you stop flipping through the channels and watch it?
And there are a couple of them that aren't on. I mean, 42 has been on a lot lately, but you've really got to watch that.
42 is hard to leave off my list, especially with Chadwick Boseman, because he's an amazing actor. Harrison Ford was great in that. It was an all-around great movie. I didn't have it in my top 10.
It's hard to watch without the way TV has to cut it.
Right.
And the language you have to leave out. There's another one called...
That's a good point.
Called Express, which was about the first
great movie.
Great movie. And then I left off Miracle because the original story was so much better than the movie.
100%. I agree. You can't include a movie where the original actual game is better than the movie itself. And it's not that the movie wasn't good. Kurt Russell was awesome in it.
It was.
It's just the story's too good.
Yesterday was the 42nd anniversary of the single greatest call in sports history, and that was the Miracle on Ice
to miracles?
Al Michaels. So we have to shout that out. But let's get into our movies.
Let's get into our movies. Again, you may not agree with us, but that's fine. There's definitely some generational gaps here. Let's go over yours first. Okay. Well, first off, number one, you and I both agreed on. Now, I'm going to go through this list because we do have people listening on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, you obviously see these here, but we're going to go line by line on these just for the listeners we have elsewhere. You and I both agree, Rocky at number one.
Greatest movie about sports ever made. It is so good. It is so good that people actually think Rocky was a real fighter.
They do. They do. And Rocky 2 is great as well. Rocky 1 to me is number one because Rocky doesn't win.
Right.
And it's very much a life story of, you're not going to always win the battles that you're in, but as long as you keep getting back up after you get knocked down, you can never lose.
And honestly, I can put a lot of the Rocky movies on the list, especially Rocky Balboa, which I think was a perfect ending to the series. Creed took it to the next level. Rocky V should never even be considered a movie because it was never made. But Rocky was just so raw. And the way they had to film it, the filming and technology got better as they went along. Just the raw quality about the original Rocky, I loved it. My favorite movie.
I agree. And then that's pretty much the last time you and I agree. To go through your list here, number two, you have Bull Durham as your number two. And I know why, but let the people know.
Yeah, you tell me why.
You were in the minor leagues. I get it.
It is the greatest. It was the most accurate movie about life in the minor leagues ever made. I actually did flood a field because I didn't want to have to be there the next day. Traveling on the bus, all those stories. It's a great movie. It was so well done. Probably one of the greatest speeches in there when Costner did the soliloquy about what he believes in.
Yep.
I love the movie.
It's a great movie. Didn't make my list of top 10.
What?
I don't have it. I don't have it on my list of top 10.
It's one of the greatest sports movies of all time. Especially any movie that's got the catcher that goes out there, and pitchers are. Sorry, guys. Pitchers are idiots. They have great arms and great physical ability. The catchers are the ones with the brain.
That's his opinion. His opinion has nothing to do with me.
It's accurate. Listen to your catcher, and you're not going to get in trouble. Did Nuke LaRouche, I always screw up his name. Did he listen to him? No. So what does Crash Davis do? He goes behind the ball, tells about it or what pitch is coming.
Great movie. Hits it off.
Great
the ball.
movie.
It's a great movie. But again, if we're going to the stipulation of I'm flipping through channels, am I going to stop and watch it? It's just not a movie I sit and watch the whole thing through.
I obviously dropped
It's not my number 2 is Remember the Titans.
Great movie.
I mean, that was the movie of my childhood when it came to sports. It's an unbelievable movie of coming together, getting over adversity, and just using football. You want to be angry? That's fine. There's a place for it. And let's take it out on the football field and win.
Yeah, and it shows how, as you said, teams have to come together. The coaches had to come together based on a true story.
Right.
I love the movie.
And it's something I think we need to watch still today in society. I mean, because like the movie said, it was easy to come together in camp, right? It's just you guys here. That's easy. Now you have to come together when society's looking at you and telling you it's wrong. And I think that fits today more than anything. Like, we can come together as one. We're all people.
Right.
And we need to put whatever our thoughts are behind and see them as people, feel empathy for what others are going through. And Remember the Titans is a movie to me that if it's on,
and I watch it,
not changing.
It's number 10 on my list as a tie. It epitomized Dr. King's statement about you judge your brothers by the character and not by the color.
Yep.
And
the content of the character, not by the color of their skin.
Absolutely.
I love that speech. It's one of my all-time favorite speeches.
And that movie defined
justice.
it. Yes, it does.
It does. Your number 3, Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams is on my list at number 8. You have it a lot higher than I do.
Look, I am not going to even pretend that I don't have a baseball bias, because I do. Love the sport.
Everybody can tell.
Yeah, you think? Field of Dreams, one of the greatest fantasy movies of all time. The field is still in Iowa. They played a game there last year.
Oh, how cool is that?
That was just brilliant. I was
surprised, because we've been there a couple of times. I was surprised when I first went there as a kid how short that field was. I mean, it's a Little League field.
It is, but, movie magic.
Yeah.
And that's why they had to build the one they played on, just so everybody knows they actually didn't play the game last year on the Field of Dreams. They had built a new diamond next door to it.
And they showed that.
And it's just such a great movie from beginning to end, no matter where it is in there. Again, another great speech when my mind just went blank. James Earl Jones talks about how baseball has marked the passage of time in America. Love that movie.
It has. Well, and the greatest thing about it is, and I think what a lot of people don't catch, is that movie is about a father and son. Mm-hmm. That whole movie, that whole build-up, and you and I went through that.
Yeah, we did.
That's why it is a special movie to me, especially you and I had a couple of rough years, where we fell apart a little bit and came back together, and it's never too late to have a catch with your dad. And that's what this show is for us. For anybody watching, that's what this show is. This is us saying, the pandemic, and especially my health scares, taught me a lot, and maybe I'll have to move it up at this point, but it taught me a lot that life's too short. And this show, we came together and said it's never too late to have a catch with your dad. And that's where the creation of this show came from.
And I've had people who I've seen the show who go, "Oh, it's great that you've got such a great relationship with your son, and we can tell you're having fun." Well, it always wasn't that way. We'll get into some of the stuff that I went through and why we fell apart in a later episode, but
it doesn't matter. We both need second chances for different things.
It was life.
But again, that's what's so great about Field of Dreams is it's never too late to have a catch with your dad. And anybody watching this show, that's what this is for us.
It is.
It's never too late, and so we decided to create this show together because this is what always has bonded us as sports. So again, thank you for joining in because this is awesome for us.
Move on quickly.
I don't know. You get misty-eyed?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit here too. I've watched Field of Dreams now. My number 3 is Hoosiers. I don't know how Hoosiers isn't higher on your list. It was a question for my number 1. Hoosiers, I stopped. I watched the movie.
I love the movie. Gene Hackman was brilliant in the movie. Again, another one that was based on a true story. Shows how important basketball is in Indiana. I love the movie. I mean, there's so many of these that could have been 1A, 1B, 1C. But
he tried to make this list 15. And I said, no. You can't have every movie on here. Hoosiers is my number 3. Hoosiers is your number 5. Hoosiers is such a good movie.
It is. It's my favorite part of the movie is when Gene Hackman is out talking to the kid who's just shooting Jimmy. He's out there. God, my mind is just going. I need to start taking something for a focus factor. But he's out there talking to him, and I love at the end of it where Jimmy has made like 10 or 15 shots in a row, and he looks at him and goes, and by the way, I don't care if you play or not.
Did you know, I watched the behind the scenes, and anybody who's seen that movie and loves as much as I do has watched the documentary on it, but when he's making all those shots, the actor who played Jimmy says, I didn't hear a thing that he said. I was so focused on making those shots, I didn't listen to it. It was a single take.
Yeah, that I knew.
And he wasn't listening to them. And then he heard the last line when they stopped, which is, I don't care if you play or not. He said it was such a powerful line. That's why I missed that next one. I was so focused on that line, and I missed that next one because of it.
That's awesome.
Great movie, mine number 3. Number 4, you and I agree on, Major League. I got Joe Boo right up here.
I love that movie. Charlie Sheen's greatest movie. Tom Berenger as a catcher coming out of the Mexican League. There is nothing not to love. It is close to being the greatest baseball movie ever made. I don't like the remakes. I know they're talking about doing some kind of a sequel to it at this point.
The second one wasn't bad. The second one didn't work out because Wesley Snipes didn't film it.
You needed Wesley Snipes, and what is the single best part of that movie? Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
Bob Uecker, who basically came in and ad-libbed every single bit of his dialogue, and he was just awesome.
Who cares? Nobody's listening anyways.
Yeah, that's right.
Great movie. I'm with you. Number 4. You could have been there the night of the filming. You were in Milwaukee when they were filming.
Well, No, your mom and I lived in Jefferson actually when that was being filmed. I had to work, and they were filming most of this.
It's not an excuse.
After 1:00 in the morning, after the Brewers game was done, I had to work.
It's not an excuse.
I know. I should. It's one of those things. If I had them to do over again, we absolutely would have been there when that was filming.
It's funny with that movie too. You don't see anybody in Indians gear there. One, because it was filmed in Milwaukee.
True.
Number 2, it was at 2 a.m. People are in their pajamas going to sit in the stands at County Stadium.
And I've heard people complain, well, you can see WTMJ, which is a Milwaukee TV station. Who cares?
Nobody knows that.
No. And that's why, quite honestly, the Indians are almost like a second team to Milwaukee. And they played here a couple of times. They played here when they were being snowed out in Cleveland at the beginning of the season.
They sold out.
So Major League is an easy choice for me. I love the movie just a bit outside.
It's still the greatest baseball call of all time and is made in every baseball game when a pitcher misses badly.
There are so many lines from that movie that you just start to, and we should do a movie with just going how many quotes and going back and forth.
One person that never gets credit, and I don't have it on my list because I didn't think about it because I may have put it on, is in the Rookie of the Year, John Candy being the announcer on the Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
He had a lot of good calls.
He did, but he's not Uecker.
He's not Uecker, but definitely one of the best movie announcers of baseball ever, and I thought was great. And I want to give John Candy the credit for being a great announcer.
He was a great announcer
as well. I should have had that one on my list, but oh well. Number 5 for you is Hoosiers.
By the way, Rookie of the Year was in my honorable mentions. So if you would have let me go to 15, we could have done that.
You can't go 15. Top 10. You have Hoosiers as your number 5. I have Dodgeball. You don't even have Dodgeball on your list.
No. Dodgeball, a good movie. I like the movie. It's got one of the greatest lines ever. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
It's such a good movie.
It is. And Vince Vaughn was great. And then
it's Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller at their best.
Yes. But certainly not one of the greatest sports movies of all time. Dodgeball wasn't even. I will give it credit. Dodgeball became a sport after that movie. I mean, we all did it in grade school. Growing up when I did, it was like target practice for those of us that weren't as big as some of the other kids. These bigger kids would just rifle the ball at you.
They had. I'll never forget. I was there when they made that change from rubber balls. It was when I was in high school gym class. Is when they're like, "Hey guys, we're no longer using rubber balls. Here's foam balls." But I tell you, the kids, especially that were on the baseball team, they could still whip those things.
I could throw it. I could throw it really well, and I had welts, and I was left with welts from time to time.
I was giving marks from these foam balls. I tell you, when somebody strong gets behind those things fly, and those things have spin on them too.
They leave welts. But
I love Dodgeball.
Okay.
I think it's one of the best sports movies. My number
it's not
6
a
is
sport.
something.
It's not a sport, though.
People call NASCAR and bowling a sport.
Okay.
Dodgeball's a sport. If golf's a sport, dodgeball's a sport.
Golf is a sport. Dodgeball is a game. It's like chess.
No, Dodgeball's a sports movie. Period.
Move on.
Purple Cobras.
It's just ridiculous.
Number 6, how do you not have Rudy on your list? You don't have Rudy on your list.
It's another one that I thought about. It was a great movie. I guess having listened to Mike Golick kind of say that it's not even close to the truth. I love the movie. Sean Astin was great in that movie.
Jinx.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable in that movie. It was such a good movie.
It was.
I don't care if it's all fake.
You know the one we both forgot? Now that I'm thinking about it, we both forgot Cool Runnings.
I thought of Cool Runnings.
Did you?
I did. I love the movie. It's not a top 10 sports movie of all time.
No, but the Jamaican bobsled team should get some credit.
Yeah, I agree. Another movie that's completely fictional, speaking of, but still amazing.
They were in the Olympics. Go on.
We're in the Olympics. You had League of Their Own as your number 6. I have it on my list. It's number 9 for me.
It's just a well-done movie and a great movie about a real time in history, World War II, when all the men were off fighting.
Correct.
And women played, and they played a good brand of baseball. There's still some of the stadiums are still standing in places like Kenosha and Racine.
Yeah.
And
Rockford's still there?
Rockford's still there. It just was very well done. The actresses they got, Gina Davis, Madonna,
yep.
Rosie O'Donnell was great in that movie. It was just a very, very well-produced movie. I think Penny Marshall was the director of the movie. Tom Hanks was brilliant in the movie.
Role for him.
Oh, my God.
Did you know that Deborah Winger was supposed to play Gina Davis's character?
Glad she didn't.
She went through 3 months of training with the Chicago Cubs to get prepared for that movie.
Gina Davis was perfect in that movie.
Madonna came on, and she said the movie was changing too much and went away too much from the women's baseball, and so she dropped out. But yeah, Deborah Winger was originally cast in that movie, and she would have been great. It would have been a different movie.
It would have been different. I mean, my favorite line in the movie, of course, was when Tom Hanks looks and asks the umpire if that was a... I'll just leave the line out there in the ether.
There's no crying in baseball.
No crying in baseball is
still the movie from that line, but the subplots in League of
still the movie from that line.
Still the movie from that. What is happening today? Still the line from that movie everybody remembers. Thank you for catching that.
Sure.
Jeez, again, mouth too quick for brain. Doesn't work well. Jeez.
It was an easy choice for me. I almost had it. I actually switched Hoosiers in the League of Their Own. It was almost a top 5 movie for me.
It is definitely a good argument for it. One of the subplots in League of Their Own.
Yes.
Well, I mean, Tom Hanks overcoming his alcohol addiction, Gina Davis having to deal with, I love this, but coming to the realization this isn't what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
Different time. It was like, well, the guys come. It's what the owner of the team said. Are we going to not let the men coming back from war play?
Right.
Gary Marshall played that role. It was a great movie about a specific time in our history. It was really the time where women went out to work for the first time.
Right.
You know, they weren't, and so I love it. Again,
movie.
And my parents my parents were newly married at that point in time. So hits close to home for me.
Your number 7 is Caddyshack. I don't have Caddyshack on my list.
The argument about Caddyshack is always, is it really a movie about sports, or is it a comedy that just has sports in
You
it?
could make any sport in that movie, and it's the same movie.
You can, but
it's a great movie.
Talk about the lines from that movie.
Bill Murray is my favorite Bill Murray role.
It's in the hole. And every
great movie.
There is not a golfer who has ever existed who doesn't quote that movie when they're out on the course at least once.
I agree. I fall into that as well.
No. Anyways,
it's a great movie. I don't have it on my list. I think there are better movies than that when it comes to sports. And crucify me in the comments below. I know it's coming. I'm going to be crucified for this, but I just don't have Caddyshack in my top 10. There are people that have it at number 1. I definitely don't have it at number 1.
Close.
If I had a 15, it'd be my top 15, but it's not my top 10.
It's a top 10 movie, and you deserve to be crucified for not
number
having
7
it there.
For me, and maybe this is a generational thing because you don't have this on your list, but The Sandlot.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I mean, talk about a movie that's from a time when you grew up.
Yeah, it was. And I did that. I mean, we went over.
It's 100% based on the time when you've been a kid.
We went over to the railroad lot, and we were always playing there. And if we hit it too far and got it up by the railroad tracks, that ball was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the movie from that time. Wasn't in my top 10 though.
Again, James Earl Jones sports movie.
Mm-hmm. It's a great movie.
It is a great movie. Who's Baby Ruth?
Oh my God. Speaking of that, I don't know if you ever saw the episode of Antiques Roadshow where a guy brought in a ball that didn't only have Babe Ruth. It had the entire 1927 Yankees team, coaches and all, autographed on it. And they quoted him like it was worth $5,000 or $10,000.
They said it was $100,000 because I went back and watched the episode.
They did say $100,000?
$200,000.
I thought that was the one that they said wasn't worth as much. And that's what I remember.
A lady brought in an autographed Babe Ruth baseball, and the dude was clearly trying to buy it from her and rip her off.
Yeah, that was okay. Thanks for the clarification.
But even that, though, the guy was trying to rip him off for saying it was worth between $100,000 and $200,000. That's a $3 million ball.
Now it is, I think. If anybody's an auctioneer, let us know what that type of a ball would be worth. And the signatures on it were all still legible.
Yeah.
And literally it sat in the guy's grandfather's sock drawer, just like the Sandlot, and it just got passed down to him, and they found it. What I'd give to have that I'd never sell it, but
I would. 2 seconds flat.
I don't think I can part with that.
That's fair. My number 8 is Field of Dreams. You had that at 3. I put it at 8, like I said. Your number 8, great movie. I don't have it in my top 10. I almost did. It's probably my number 11. But you had North Dallas 40.
Yeah, and again, this is one where critically probably not in any critics' top 10 or whatever, but I just love this.
I disagree. I think it shows what football life was like in the 70s. My favorite
Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, my favorite part about North Dallas 40 was Nick Nolte's character getting up and his whole body cracking, because it really shows what a lot of those guys went through at that time, and shows why it's so important for the NFL to take care of those guys today.
Yes, and Mac Davis played the quintessential machine quarterback. He was part of the system.
Yep.
It was loosely based on Dallas Cowboys, obviously, as I said, where you've got a very stern coach and you've got to follow the system and do what you want. And Nick Nolte is a free spirit who was smoking marijuana, which you couldn't do during that time. And they were looking for a way to get him, even though when the moment called for it, who made the catch?
Yep.
It was Nick Nolte. I just love the movie. And it's not on often enough.
It's not. It's a great movie. It's definitely one I'll sit down and watch, which is why I say it's my number 11, but I couldn't put it on there. My number 8, Field of Dreams. We already went in depth about that one. My number 9, League of Their Own. We already talked about that. Your number 9, Tin Cup. I don't even know if that's in my top 15. I love the movie.
I love
but
Tin Cup.
It's not a top 10 sports movie of all time.
Sure it is. I love Kevin Costner in that movie. By the way, is Kevin Costner the greatest sports movie actor of all time, or is he
Better than
not?
not. He's in my number 10.
I know he is, and I love the movie you're going to talk about. But Tin Cup with Cheech Marin, Don Johnson, it's just a great movie. I love it.
It's a great movie.
He made it to the. I will admit that I have a problem with the fact that any player in the right mind who is in contention would drop down 6 or 7 balls until they get it over, and a 3-wood would not check back like that.
That's not my problem with the movie. The problem with the movie for me is the fact that the dude hits a 3-wood, and the thing has so much backspin that a 3-wood's going to keep rolling forward. It's impossible for a 3-wood to roll like that.
If the water would have been on the other side and they would have had it roll through and onto that,
sure,
I'm good with that. But to have it back up like that, never happened.
Immediately out of my top 10, just for the fact that a 3-wood doesn't have backspin.
I still love the movie, so
it's a good movie.
Okay,
not a top 10. Not a top 10 by any means. My number 10 is another Kevin Costner movie. So I still have 2 Kevin Costner movies on here, and it's a movie that I believe is very underrated, and that's For the Love of the Game.
I love the movie. Oh my God, it's such a great. And for those of you who don't see it, it's about a guy facing the end of his career and just catches lightning in a bottle and is throwing a no-hitter. Perfect game.
I love how they go between the game and what happened, because he's reflecting on his life, reflecting on his career. John C. Reilly as the catcher is
brilliant.
Awesome. It's a movie role that gets forgotten for him a lot. Kevin Costner again is great in that, and
Kelly Preston has a girlfriend.
Oh, so good,
so good.
How he gets hurt and has to overcome that,
and what a jerk he was when he was first trying to come back off of injury.
Yeah.
That he pushed Kelly Preston away to the point where she just said, "I can't do this anymore."
Yeah. Well, exactly. And during that time, especially since it's based in the 90s, what was involved in that? Was he taking painkillers?
Guaranteed.
I guarantee there's some cut scenes in that movie where it talks about that side of things that they had to cut out, because his attitude, that's what it leads to.
I know that attitude.
So there's that side of it as well. And him, you could have thrown a whole recovery thing in there, but again, it's just a guy reflecting on his life. This is it. My game's done. And it's my number 10. Your number 10. I love this movie. It could have easily been in my top 10. The Replacements, another underrated movie. I don't think I've ever seen the actual real cut of this. Just the TV version.
I don't know that I have either. I want to see it. Keanu Reeves is just brilliant in it.
Yep.
You had the strike year in football before you were born. These guys come in, and it's just showed what you can accomplish when you have nothing to lose. Another great Gene Hackman role.
Yep. Well, did you know Keanu Reeves took a pay cut so Gene Hackman could be in that movie?
I did not.
They just wanted Keanu. Apparently, Keanu Reeves does that in a lot of movies. He did that with Al Pacino as well. I don't remember the movie. Comment below. I don't remember off the top of my head. But he does that for a lot. So he took a pay cut.
Wonder if that would have been the devil. You played
the Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate.
The Devil's Advocate. Yes.
Great movie. Another great movie. Not sports related, obviously, but Keanu Reeves is just that kind of guy that you just can't help but have respect for. Be a cool guy to talk to.
He's immortal.
I've never watched The Matrix.
No, for reals.
Okay.
He's immortal. They have a picture of him from like the 1600s.
They've got a lot of those kind of pictures. I showed you a picture from some relative of mine from 1910, and when I first saw it, it was like, oh my God.
That was really Keanu Reeves. He's immortal and comes back as different people. He's an entertainer throughout his entire life. He is 100% hundreds of years old, if not thousands of years old.
Alrighty then. So some movies that didn't make my list. There are movies like Glory Road.
Yeah, good movie.
Great movie about the UTEP team, first all-black team to make the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
What other ones did I have? I had The Rookie. That was honorable mention. I liked it. I like Dennis Quaid. I like that one.
I like Dennis Quaid. didn't like the movie.
I did. I mentioned Paper Lion, Moneyball. Neither one of us talked about.
Well, because it's a great movie, but Moneyball
is ruining baseball.
So I don't include it.
The Blind Side, neither one of us had it, and I think the one
Blind Side was good.
The one movie that was in my top 10 originally, but I had to move it around, Slapshot.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, it's a great movie. Such a good movie. I mean, Paul Newman, great movie.
I've tried to watch it a few times.
It's a movie of its time.
I didn't like it. I couldn't sit through it. You know, a movie that I left off that I was going to put on but couldn't was, speaking of hockey movies, is Goon.
Yes.
Have you seen that movie?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
It's a really good movie, and they have a second one too, which is also good. Not as good, but it's a very good movie, just about a hockey enforcer, and it's funny. I mean, it's not a critically acclaimed movie, and nor should it be, and it definitely doesn't belong in the top 10. But
right,
it's a great movie. I love it.
And then neither one of us talked about the Mighty Ducks.
Oh yeah, created a hockey team.
There was one movie that I almost put in. It never gets talked about. It's more of a documentary, When We Were Kings. It is the story about Ali and Frazier and during that time.
You told me about that movie. I've never seen it, though.
It was a great movie. Watched it a long time ago and loved it. The other one that I would have liked to have, I just thought about that I normally would have put in here. You've seen the movie Over the Top, haven't you?
Yes, I've seen Over the Top.
I like that movie.
I wouldn't qualify that as a sports movie.
If Dodgeball's a sports movie, Over the Top is a sports movie.
You got me there. I mean, Stallone carried that movie. It was great. The little kid in that movie was pretty over the top in his acting, and I guess fits into that role, but it was a good movie. I did enjoy it.
There was one other Stallone movie, was when he was in a prison camp or something. He was a soccer player. I can't think of the name of it. If anybody can think of it.
You know what movie we forgot?
I liked it. Which one?
The Longest Yard is not on our list.
Oh my God.
One of our biggest debates.
Yeah, because the original was so much better than the remake.
No, the remake was definitely better than the original.
No, the remake was...
That's what I need your help with below in the comments, is to prove to this guy that the Longest Yard remake is better than the original. The original is great.
No, and I need my generation to step up and tell him that he's lame and ridiculous. Burt Reynolds, with Caretaker in that movie, was also the guy from Teen Wolf, the father in Teen Wolf. Just a much better movie. It was a rougher, more edgy movie. They didn't try to be funny, and it just naturally came. Eddie Albert was a prison guard. It was a great movie.
Listen, you lost your argument by using Teen Wolf as a reference to prove why it's a good movie.
No, I just said the guy from Teen Wolf was Caretaker in there, and he was brilliant. He was much better. Adam Sandler movies... He didn't do a good job on this one. It was a bad remake. Even if Burt Reynolds...
You had Chris Rock. You had Michael Irving in that movie. You had Nelly in that movie. And you had Goldberg in that movie.
Yeah, and he had Jaws in the original. Jaws, the guy from... he played Jaws. Great big guy.
Old reference that I would never...
Anybody who's seen James Bond movie knows who I'm talking about. I wish I could think of the guy's name because he was... I think I broke his freaking neck. Great. The original was... far and away the better of those two movies.
No, I 100% disagree. You and I could argue about this forever, but I think you and I have had enough fun for the day. Let us know in the comments below. This has been a lot of fun on what we've talked about. Thank you so much for the continued comments on the shows that we've been making. Keep them coming. We want to hear your opinion, and don't forget to do this right here. Again, pointing in the right direction. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified every single time we drop a new episode, so you can enjoy this as much as we enjoy making it. And also follow on Spotify if you can't watch it. We do post all of our audio on our Spotify channel as well.
And the biggest thing is, and I should have said it earlier in the show, and we need to say it more often, please, please, please share, like, subscribe. We want the channel has to grow. We need to get into the algorithms more so more people can see it. So you're really helping us out if you take a moment and subscribe and share as well, and give it a like, please.
Yep. Please let us know if you have any other things we want to talk about as well before we head out. Any last words?
We will be talking more Negro Leagues in the future. We hopefully will be talking about a baseball season getting ready to start.
About that time.
I got to be honest with you. I love Goose Gossage from before. I love the fact he said he wanted to punch Rob Manfred in the mouth. I love Goose Gossage even more after that. So
we are going to talk more about that one specifically next week. We're going to finish up here, but wait, we're not over yet. Now it's over. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Sports Talk with Dad.
Bye, everybody.